Okay, so we are nearing the end of this series, but there are still two more things that we need to do. First one we are going to be covering in this video, and that is toggling our to-dos. So making our to-dos to be either complete or incomplete. When you finish a task, you set it to be complete, and if there is some tasks that are actually not completed, then you can move it to the incomplete list. And the second thing is going to be editing our to-dos. This is something that we are going to be doing in the next episode. So just like in the previous episode, we need to have some interface to either set our to-dos to be complete or incomplete. But before we do that, I'm just going to style this a bit so that we can see what's going on a little bit better. So first of all, I'm going to put all of this into some of foundation classes so that we separate our text of our to-do and the button from the actual icon that is going to be used to complete or incomplete our to-do items. So I'm just going to put all of this in a row. And then I'm going to put this in a column. Okay, and now here I'm going to add another column, and this is where our icon for completing to-dos is going to live. So if I write something like this here, so icon, we can see it like this. So we have this icon right here, and on the right side we are going to have the title, text, and the delete button. Okay, so let's just style this a bit. So as you can see, I already written the styles for this so that we don't have to waste any time on it. I'm going to explain it as we go along. So the first one that you're going to see immediately is this to-do, because we have this to-do class. And if you check out our page right now, this looks a little bit better. We have this card situation going on. Okay. So now we have to handle this icon. As you can see, I given it a class of to-do complete icon. So I'm just going to put it right here. Okay, so now we have this to-do complete icon. I'm not going to put any text in it. So if I save this, you can see this circle right here. So this is uncompleted, but we still need some styles for the completed. For something to be completed, we add a class of completed to the to-do complete icon. Right? So now it would have this check mark and it will be green and so on. So this is how this is going to look. Now all we need to do is create the logic for this to work. And we are going to follow pretty much the same steps that we did in the previous episode. So first of all, I'm just going to put some event handler right here. So it's going to be a click event handler, and we can do it like this, click. So remember, I could just as well written v on click, but this is a shorthand for that. So click. And now we need to call a method. The method is going to be called toggle to do. And we pass in the current to do that we are clicking on. Okay, so we go to our script and define this method. And as you can see, that method is going to be pretty much the same as the delete to do method. So we can copy it, change the name. And then we will define our custom event handler, which is going to be toggle to do. Okay, so this is it for our to do component. Now we go to our to do list, that view. And right here, we also have to set that custom event handler that we just created. Okay, so now we have this toggle to do, okay, and now of course we have to create a toggle to do method for this component. Okay, so now we have toggle to do function to do, and that's it. So what is going to happen when we click on that to do? Well, we would just check if that to-do has a status of 1, then we want to make it 0 because we want to toggle it. And if it has a status of 0, then we want to make it 1. So I think that's pretty clear. So to do that, we would just use a simple if statement. So if to-do status is 1, then make to-do status to be 0. Else, make to-do status to be 1. Right? And that should actually be it. So when somebody clicks on it, this method will check if the to-do status is 1. If it's 1, then it's going to make it 0. But if it's 0, then it's going to make it 1. Pretty simple. If we go right here, we can actually just test this out. If I click test, as you can see, it is now in the completed section. If I click this one, then it's also in the completed section. Now if I click this one again, it is going to be in the uncompleted section. So as you can see, this works, but of course we still have some things to do. So first of all, we have to handle this icon to be the green with the check mark, and also of course we have to change the data in our database, because if we refresh this, then the state is returned to the same thing. Okay, so let's go to our view to-do.view component. And now we want to set that check mark when the actual to-do is completed. So as I said before, if I just add another class right here of completed, save it, we will get those check marks. But now they're everywhere, and we of course don't want that. So what do we need to do right here? So we need some way to say to Vue, okay, so if the status of this to-do is 1, then add a class of completed right here. If it's not, then it stays the same. So it's just going to be that circle and that's it. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, you can bind the class to your to-do element. So for example, this button right here. So I can bind the class to it. So I could write vbind or just do something like this and set class. So this is equal to vbind class. So we bind the class to this element. And now I just want to say to Vue, okay, so add the class of completed if to-do status is equal to 1. And that's it. That should actually work just fine. So if I save this, and now as you can see, all of these to-dos that have a status of 1 now have this check mark. And if we click this test right here, you can see that it also received this check mark. So it's completed. Of course, if I click it, then it returned to the other side of the list and it doesn't have a check mark. As you can see, pretty easy. So the next thing we need to do, we need to, of course, change the status of our to-do items in the October CMS's database. Okay, so now in our routes.php file, I'm just going to copy this route for the delete to do. Paste it right here. We are of course going to receive some data. This is going to be called toggle to do. We are going to receive some data from our Vue end of things. And of course, we are going to send the whole object. So the whole to do object. Now we can't just destroy it or something like that. We first have to find it. So we say to do where. So we say to do where ID is equal to data ID. So the ID that we are sending. So now October is going to find that record and then we have to update it. So it's going to look like this. So we say to do where ID is equal to data ID. Once you find it, update it so that the status is equal to the status that we are sending. So remember, on our to-do list.vue, we are setting the status right here. So once we set it, then we can use this Axios post method to just send that to do to our backend, and then change the API, change the status of it. If we save this, I think this should hopefully work. So if I do test this, let's just complete a whole bunch of them. And they are completed right now. So let's try to refresh the page. And as you can see, we have 2 uncompleted and 14 completed. If we uncomplete all of these, refresh the page, now we have uncompleted 11 and completed 5. As you can see, not a big deal, it's very, very easy. Okay, so this is it for this video. As I said, in the next video we are going to learn how you can edit your to-dos. Remember, everything we did here will be available for you on GitHub. The link will be in the description below. If you want to ask me questions, you can use Facebook, GitHub, Twitter, whatever, to ask them there. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you like the channel, maybe subscribe to it. If you want to send some money my way, you can use the Patreon page for that. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.